Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? Welcome to, I would say, another Addicted Fishing podcast, but we've been fishing the last 2 months on the live feed Wednesday night, so we have not been getting in here to record these, and guess what? It's another apology tour brought to you by Addicted Fishing, because we have not done these for so darn long. I can tell you it's been busy. Buoy 10 was fantastic. Fall fishing was fantastic, but now we are starting to settle in a little bit. It's getting darker a little earlier in the evenings, and we're going to be back in studio here for the next few months as we kind of approach the tributary season. And then, of course, as we get into the holidays, and then, of course, winter steelhead. So hopefully we'll be getting these back out to you guys in some kind of regularity. But so far, like I said, we had a fantastic year on the Columbia, and it's time to get back to it. So with that said, I wanted to bring in a very special guest because this guy, I actually think I caught my first summer steelhead with him, and way back in the day, on eggs, of course. But I got Mr. Keith Archer from Ultimate Egg Cure in here because it's tributary season and we're talking some eggs. How's it going, man?
Yeah, the day is good. Man, how many years ago was that? That's 30 plus, is it? I
had to be 15 or 16. I think I was driving.
Yeah. I remember going up big white salmon, walking down that big hill.
Poison Ivy Hill.
The Poison Ivy Hill, Poison Oak, Poison Ivy, whatever that stuff was. Stay the heck away from it. Brutal. And then getting down there. Remember all those summer runs laying there? Do you remember that? We came down the hill and it was like, oh, we're going to hook double digits. And you were kind of looking at me like, huh?
Like, what are they running? Just hooking one?
Yeah.
No, truth be told, guys, that was like when I got that first. Cause I think I'd caught in some winter steelhead because we grew up on the East Fork of the Lewis. Yeah, we're going to say river names. I don't care. Go fish it.
Yep.
But I never caught summers, and that was a pretty special fishery because, man, when that dam was there, that water was cold, and we could fish it. I don't even think they can fish it anymore.
I haven't been up there. Honestly, I probably went another half dozen times from when we did it. There was always double-digit days, it seemed like. There was days we'd hook 30, just cycling through them, having a good time. And, yeah, those first 2-3 holes in that out of that lake was just, there were days you'd walk down and the whole bottom would be gray. It would just be summer runs.
They'd be moving, and they would bite your lead, and then they'd bite your eggs, and they'd bite everything. They didn't care. But, man, yeah, another fishery, unfortunately, I don't think that's open.
I think it's closed now, and if it is open, I like I said, I haven't ventured over there. I probably should look into that because that is a lot of fun.
Because they removed the dam. They removed the dam up there, and I know for a while there you couldn't touch it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's still some fisheries around there at the mouth, but yeah, reminiscing on like times long ago, I guess. But we were catching fish on eggs back then, and that's why we brought you in here today because you've got your Ultimate Egg Cure. You brought it back out with ProCure after many years, but you've always been kind of an egg guru, especially on some of these Southwest streams and beyond.
Yeah. And
we wanted to talk a little bit about Egg Cure. And so why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a brief, kind of like the biohistory on eggs, and then ultimately how you came up to the Ultimate Egg Cure.
Absolutely. I remember there was a gentleman, my dad, he knew him and he worshiped him for egg fishing. He had what we called the Elke Egg Cure. His name was Dick Elke. He's probably passed since. And it was a simple, borax, salt, sugar, and some raspberry jello. And that was the magic back when we were younger. I remember going to some of these local tributaries, hanging that bait for salmon and steelhead fishing and those sort of things. And, what it came to is there was here, one of our local rivers, one of the main holes there where we get a lot of people that come up and there's a competitive bit of a competitive fishery. I started to recognize that certain people were catching more fish than others on eggs. So that led me to believe that they were doing something different. But at the time, there was only a few commercial cures, right? You had ProCure, which is pretty much the innovator. You had ProGlow that came out, and then really a couple garage cures that barely were making it to market. And that was your choice. Like you went up and you tried it, and one fish, two fish, one fish, two fish. No matter what you tried and what you did, always one fish, two fish. And there's one specific gentleman, Clancy Holt, and you've heard his name in the industry, the guy.
Just a little.
I just remember it like he would have his first group and second group of customers. He'd limit his first group out, and his second group he'd have there at 10 o'clock in the morning at the boat ramp waiting, and he'd pull off, empty his boat, empty the fish out, jump his second group in, and out he'd go, and he'd catch another 8 fish. And it'd be a month straight. He'd catch 16 fish a day out of that hole. And the rest of us locals were looking at him like, I don't get it. Like, what's he doing different? And that led me, to if he can, I can too. Like, and I started experimenting with different chemicals and different smells and different things. And, eventually in my own garage had created, over a bit of time, I created the ultimate egg cure. And at the time having that, it was a huge edge. You know what I mean? I mean, it put me a million miles ahead of the average at the time. And, I reflect on so many days and so many situations pulling into holes and 9, 10 in the morning, and it had been pretty slow and no fish being caught for an hour and a half or two, and pull in and hook a double, and it was the chemical composition, the formula that I designed that drove those fish to feed,
It's funny because we use basically exactly what you said as a roundabout example, like when we talk about, guys with like egg cures and whatnot, because they, everyone's gone to that hole and seen that guy catch 10 to everybody else's fishing 2.
Correct.
And so I kind of stray away a little bit from that rationale thinking when it comes to like other baits, when it comes to herring, when it comes to some of that, herring's a pretty, herring cured right's a pretty darn good bait.
But I've had days where you've been out there and you've wrecked me on herring. And then it's like, what is he actually using a herring? Is he using some other bait fish? Like, how is he doing so much better? Like, and is it number of rods that you've got out versus the 2 or 3 that I have out, and there's days where it's like, I look back at the, reverse roll. It's like, there you are wrecking them,
I think though, like with herring, with eggs, or what makes eggs so unique though is when we're all hovering in the hole, we're all bobber fishing. Like that's kind of like what everyone's doing. Like they're putting a chunk of eggs on there. It's not their speed. It's not their cut. It's not like any additive. Like, well, sometimes it is there. Actually, get to my point. It will be.
Yeah.
There will be additives, but like everyone's just dunking a bait on some 10, 12, 15 pound line, putting it in front of them. There's a million fish laying in the bottom of that hole.
Yep.
But for whatever damn reason, those fish collectively decided that day that they're going to bite those eggs and not these eggs.
That species of eggs, that maturity of eggs.
I think that you can't like with other fisheries and other baits, it could be there's a bunch of different variables. But with the egg cure, it's like properly cured egg, sure, like it can't be rotten.
Correct.
It's got to be presented kind of the same way like that kind of everybody else is doing it. But it is definitely 100% the scent and, like you said, the chemical composition.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've found it to be, even going through my logs, and I've kept logs for years and years, and they're locked up in my safe. But in those logs, I've kept track of, the species of eggs, the maturity of those eggs, right down to measuring oil contents in these eggs, and I'm not trying to get too scientific about it, but I've recognized patterns that I can reflect on and know that at certain times of the month, certain times of the return of the fishery, that if I use that strain of eggs, that, maturity of egg, I get better results.
And that's crazy because some of our cohorts in the industry will come into this live feed and say that an egg's an egg is an egg is an egg. And I think besides the maturity level being just different, you have different fishability factors, but as far as like the flavor of a Chinook versus a coho egg versus a chum egg, pink egg, whatever, well, an egg's an egg, throw the right cure on it and you'll eat it.
Yeah. Were they a saltwater egg? How close were they to the coast? How much transition have they made in freshwater? I think all that actually plays a bit more of a role. I mean, I really do. There's science behind it in my books that I've kept track of, Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to really monitor.
Now, everyone listening is going like, ask him what the best egg is right now. So I'm going to ask, what's the best egg?
Willapa River.
Okay.
Fall Chinook, late August egg, fished in these Southwest Washington tributaries is my go-to.
Now, could it be something to where like the fish is just so, because if I remember right, those Willapas, they don't have like Thule strain stuff, so they're pretty fresh fish.
They're fresh, they're clean, they're bright. They're a little bit more mature egg for the age of the fish, so they have a little bit more.
So the fish is fresher, the eggs are bigger.
There you go, and they have a little more oil content. So what I've
all washed out Thules that have swam 350 miles upstream in 70-degree weather.
Correct.
Well. Sorry, Willapa River. Guess we gotta go fish. Just kidding. Everyone's like, to the Willapa! I don't even know if it's open anymore.
Yeah,
but
I don't know either.
Okay, but so maybe it's more of a, coastal bright strain that probably, and if I remember right too, they even return a lot sooner than our upriver brights. Like that's like an early August thing when they're in Willapa. Like that fishery kicks off. It seems like a week or two before they really get in the river. I mean, they're in the river August 1, buoy 10. Everyone's yelling at their. Yeah, I get it, guys. Mm-hmm. But when the real push of brights comes in buoy 10, it's really about the third week August.
Yeah, I did a lot of Oregon coastal tributary eggs too. Mm-hmm. I found those to be very successful as well. So it's more or less, it's an out of basin egg that you're bringing in basin.
So you think out of basin's important? Mm-hmm. So going up to the old freaking, I don't want to say it because everyone's going to kill me again. I'm kind of over it, but so everyone's going to go to Drano Lake. There, I said it. You guys can cry. Catch a Drano egg. You think that egg, if I catch it, so I guess let me back up because I will start by saying any egg is better. Any fresh egg is better than no egg.
I agree.
So we got to start. We got at least all probably agree on that. But you're saying that if I were to go to Drano, the only reason I'm saying that is because it's open right now.
Sure.
Whatever. Catch a fish, cure it, spend the 2-3 day, 4 whatever process. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mm-hmm. Curing the egg. That egg's not as good as if I would have drug one up from freaking.
If we had the two eggs from two separate areas cured in the same moment, one in one jar, one in the other, I think you would see different results. I can prove that you would see different results fishing that same egg in whatever particular area you chose to fish it. Yeah.
So what do we do with all our lower Columbia fish? Because I got a whole lot of those eggs.
Yep.
Oh boy. Well, shoot. You know what I got to do? What you got to do is you got to get a buddy who lives like in Grays Harbor.
For sure.
Who lives in Forks, and you just got to trade him all your eggs. I'll trade you 20 quarts for 20 quarts.
And we did have that sort of thing in my youth. I had guys that were down on the coast, Oregon coast, that genuinely would trade with me. It was a lot of fun. Okay, well,
but because I'm bored enough that I'll actually freaking test it.
So. You'll see.
Well, interesting day. And I'm not going to argue with him because I've seen this guy catch, I don't know, 1 million fish on eggs. So, there's that whole thing too. So, definitely something to maybe pay attention to a little bit. I mean, like I said, any fresh egg, I think is better. What about coming from Alaska? A lot of those guys drag those eggs down from there. There
are a lot of guys that do. I don't have as much experience with them personally. So when those guys are bringing them in, there's some commercial guys that they have access to a lot of eggs from up there. But one thing I've seen is those saltwater eggs. It's very rare that I've seen them outfish what I produce with those eggs that we were just speaking of, if that makes sense. So giving those guys the same cure, they're using the same process, same everything, coming and jumping in my boat and fishing with me, they end up in my bait tray quite consistently using my eggs. And it's like, there's the evidence of difference. Now there are also other things that I do, additives, scents, things like that, definitely make a difference from species to species to species. I would say steelhead are a little less notable and worry so much about scents or things like that. They're just more of a presentation fish. But when you get into those fall kings, they're
warm water fall kings, early fall kings without a lot of current. They can be freaking real a-holes.
For sure. Especially if you have any sort of device you can see in the hole and how many fish are actually in there.
They're real. How many? If I can tell you how many times I got snubbed at the lake freaking yesterday, or was it the day before? I don't know. I think it was yesterday. Yeah.
Interesting.
They come up and look at you and shove their nose up and turn around and walk away.
And they'll come right up and look at it. And they'll come up and touch it.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And then some bite and you kill them. So whatever.
Yep.
We still get our licks in. So it's probably coming down to the process though. And so when you're talking about the guys from Alaska, because maybe it's like, the whole, obviously, they're not probably transporting too many of them fresh, mid-season, kind of at the end of their season, bringing them down. Maybe the act of freezing, transporting when they're being froze. I mean, what kind of stuff, because generally, like, I would have to say that most of the time, always cure them fresh, when you can. We always kind of say, at least, what we've said in the past here is that, from the moment you kill that fish is those eggs are rotting.
That's a good way to put it.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
So you're a cure immediately.
Immediately when I'm home.
Because you already went that an egg is not an egg on this podcast. So I got to like make sure you're like, I wait 3 days, let them juice up a little bit.
No, it's immediate. When I get home, and again, we don't let them come into contact directly with ice. I'm very particular about that. I get them out of the fish as quick as possible. I do believe that that's a factor, especially when they're in a warmer environment, or even if they get too cold in an ice bag or a fish bag or whatever. Cured length, time, I think, is a big one that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to. A lot of us want to do it quickly, 1, 2, 3 days.
Oh, sure.
Every cure works quickly, 1, 2, 3 days. You can make a phenomenal looking egg with the Ultimate Egg Cure in 1, 2, 3 days. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous egg. As those that follow and pay attention and ask the questions, I cure 5 to 10 days, 5 to 11 days based on the maturity of the egg. And it has to do everything with creating lactic acid, which is a part of a bacterial fermentation process, which in turn creates a small amounts of ethanol in the egg, which helps disperse those lipids and proteins and things through the water column, especially in warmer water. These are things that I think are probably a kind of over the head sometimes with some of us, and it's not really relevant with some of us, but for those that are engaging and really want to go to the next level, I think there's a lot to pay attention to there.
Well, if you think about, like you said, fermentation to alcohol, and alcohol, what does alcohol do in water?
Disperses.
Yeah. So it's, there's some, but you don't think that eggs cured at, cool garage temperature don't experience that? Well, I guess it'd probably obviously be different with every cure.
It's the length of time as well, and how much sugar's in those cures, right? Depending on the product, whose it is, there's different levels of, every cure pretty much has some sort of sugar in it, right? So you'll have a bacterial fermentation process, and the more sugar that's in the egg cure, the more that will happen, most likely. Less specific types of sugars, but I'm not going to get too crazy here and get too scientific. But yeah, my brain's going ding, 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 ding. So backing up, if we were to cure the proper length of time, we're going to end up in a situation where it does start that fermentation. Temperature does affect it, to your point. The colder we cure them at, the longer it takes. That's why I do 5 to 10 days, and I do it in the refrigerator the entire time. There are guys that cure at room temperature. I have no issues with that at all.
Because Hamley really preaches that.
Yes, he does.
He probably is also not going 10 days, though.
No,
he's probably 3 to 5,
he
2
is.
to 3 kind of thing.
He is, yeah. No, and I think that there's plenty of evidence in that. And I mean, I fished with Jason in his boat. Phenomenal fisherman. The guy gets, he's got an A game, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
right next to him yesterday.
He can definitely put a show on. That was fun. A lot of fun I've had with those guys.
So I guess the takeaway is don't rush it.
Don't rush
Good
it.
things take time. Let it marinate a bit.
The only rush is getting the eggs cured in a timely fashion, and the proper amounts of cure that you apply. There's the biggest mistake I think everybody makes, right? Is when people are curing eggs, they just genuinely add too much. I think that's the biggest problem. So I get a lot of feedback, right? I get a ton of messages, as you guys know, probably with the Addicted team. You get a lot of people asking questions. A lot of behind the scenes, hey, what I do wrong here? Well, number one, I always see the most common thing that people do wrong is they let their eggs go too long before they cure them. You can tell immediately. You can tell immediately if it's 24 hours plus that they've been out of the fish, and you can apply whatever cure you want to them. They're going to be a softer egg. It's just they're compromised already. They're simply compromised.
Yeah, Steve calls them a stink egg.
There you go. They're bacterial wise. They're just breaking down.
They're rotting.
Yeah. They're rotting. Very good way to put it. So it's getting them cured in a timely fashion and then using the proper amount of cure. With the Ultimate Egg Cure, I've found on the smaller buried eggs, 1/4 ounce to just short of a 1/2 ounce per pound. The medium berry egg, the more common egg that we use in all applications, our favorite egg basically, about a 1/2 ounce a pound. And
are you weighing that out?
I don't personally, because, heck, I got 30.
You've got the touch, I'm sure.
For sure. 30, 40 years of eyeballing it, right?
Would you recommend somebody doing that?
I would. It's a gallon bag is 7 pounds, right? So if a 1/2 gallon, if let's say you go fishing in a day and you caught 3-4 hens, you got a 1/2 gallon of eggs. You got 3.5 pounds, right? Work the math backwards from there. And at that point, you got 14 ounces in my Ultimate Egg Cure bottle. So, do the math and work it backwards. So a half ounce to, a pound of eggs in that medium maturity. I can go up to 3/4 of an ounce on those bigger buried eggs to try to help them tighten up a little bit. But you can get too much in there. You can get too much cure, and it'll cause them to become more gummy bearish, if that makes sense. Whereas, like, I brought a jar of eggs with me today. Thawed them out. They were eggs I caught last year. Did them in Ultimate Egg Cure, and on the lid here, 10 days cure process. And we'll open those up and take a look at them. And I thawed them out last night, but they're just the most perfect textured. If you pinch them, they're going to pop. There's a gel or a juice that comes out. It's not quite a gel. There's a science to it, right? If I do too much cure, it becomes too gel-ish, not going to milk as quickly, and it's not going to put that smell through the water column that I want. It's ultra important, that dispersion process, that we allow when that bait hits the water. I want it to infiltrate their nose. You know what I mean? I want them to go, whoa, that's heavy. Like, that smells great. That I'm hungry now. That's the instinct that I'm trying to draw out of that fish, so.
The proper cure time is going to be what you need to do it.
It is. I think it really is, because there's so many people that go 1, 2, 3 days. And again, I don't have any problem with that. You're going to catch a ton of fish with Ultimate Egg Cure in 1, 2, 3 days of curing.
But on the tough days.
But on the tough days, when you're fishing the competitive fisheries, right?
It's everyone can be a hero at Buoy 10, but sometimes things get tough out there, and you got to figure out how to really catch them. And there's a reason why guys will do it. And if it's coming down, if it's something that's that important, that you're saying here, pay attention. I know that on the instructions on the Ultimate Egg Cure, like, you are really, I've heard you talk about it in the past, like, you're really adamant that people follow those to the T and don't fudge it any direction.
I personally, I think you're going to find your best results that way. Everybody's got their own mind. We're all alpha men often in the fishing world.
I guarantee you right now, I've thrown your cure on a couple eggs and tried to fish them 2 days later.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they look good. Let's go fishing.
They look beautiful. They look gorgeous. And they do catch, right? In a non-competitive environment, you're going to go catch a bunch of fish.
Hot, naive fish that's not seen a bait before. And he's like, what's that?
There it is.
Something red. I'll eat it.
And they swallow it, and it's a piece of cake. It's just when all of a sudden you're sitting on those fish, there's 100 fish, 200, 300 fish in the lake or the pool or the pond or whatever you're fishing in. You're putting that egg down there, and they're going, it's like it doesn't even exist, and it's like, what can I do different? So additives, I get a lot of people that reach out and, hey, Keith, what can I add? There are some things, I think, chemically that you can add that can change the pH levels, that can change the dispersion levels. And we're going to talk about that in the live feed. I don't know how much time we have now, but yeah, it's, we'll share some of that and make sense of it. But I think that there's times where people, they're in this little box. Like, they got to just think outside the box a little bit, have that free mind.
Well, I'm going through, like, some of the things over the years that have, like, come and gone.
Sure.
And some that are still here, but they're not as talked about as prevalently.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of things, a lot of weird things. What's some of the weirdest things you've either tried yourself or heard, and have they worked or have they not? Because I've heard everything from, like, bacon bits.
Sure. There's some wild things, right? Nitrates in those, fats and things.
But the bacon might have worked for the guy. I don't know. He told me bacon bits one time. I was like, I'll let you have that one.
Here's where my whole scent dispersion thing started, was antifreeze. I tried antifreeze on eggs. That was the weirdest thing I ever did. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not advocating. I'm not saying do this.
It's probably illegal now. Just
probably is. You know what I mean?
Well, there's non-toxic antifreezes now, or whatever. I'm just joking. I'm saying?
There's an ethyl alcohol in antifreeze, is what I figured out over time. I couldn't make sense of why it was working. It was like, what the hell do they want this for? But that was where
antifreeze. Would your eggs turn like greenish yellow or anything like that?
It was just a couple, 2, 3, 4 drips at the time of the morning. I'd put it on my baits and out I'd go, and I noticed it doubling my successes. And again, going back to that Clancy Holt story, I was desperate. That guy was smoking everybody. And I can still remember, I went up and asked him at one point in time, I said, hey, Clancy, what, can you give me a tip? And I was like 17, you know what I mean? And he said, practice, son, practice. And I was like, man, that hurts. Like, you can't even throw me a bone.
Keep throwing at the dartboard. You'll hit the bullseye sooner or later.
I think the highlight of my egg career was when I finally kind of started to figure out that chemical process and all of that. And I finally generated what I thought was my most successful cure, the ultimate egg cure, right? And I remember I started to put in the clinic on in those holes. And I remember Clancy coming up to me one day and he said, hey, what are you doing? What do you think my answer was, Cameron?
Practice. And I've always said this. I've said this to a lot of people over the years. So like, I can ask you now, or you can beg me later.
That's it.
And it sounds like you got a little bit of that going on in the.
It was entertaining.
You asked him then, and then he had to beg you later.
It was entertaining. It felt good in a moment, but in hindsight, I felt bad. But here's where I'm at now in the world of fishing. There's probably guys out there going, "Keith, stop talking. Keith, stop talking." But you know what? Nobody taught me any of this. These are all things path that I went down, and I'm choosing to share. You know what I mean? I'm choosing to help people. I want people to be better at what they're doing.
The other piece of it too is like, and this coming from my angle. So we troll 360s pretty well. Mm-hmm. There's definitely some nuances to it. It's not just 24 go fast as much as Marlon loves to say so. Yeah. And I put out my riggings. I put out what we do day in and day out. And then in one of the most popular fisheries,
sure,
I take a diver down and he digs up 207 flashers off one snag.
Yep.
And the only 2 flashers I found on that snag rigged the way that I sit there and talk about it on Addicted Fishing was the way I rigged it. And they had my custom blades attached to them.
And they were yours.
They were mine.
God, why don't people listen?
I don't. And then some of the other stuff we saw was freaking like, probably this is a blessing this guy lost this snag. He didn't want to be trolling it out there anyway. So some people will take it to heart. And then some people will also they'll take even what you say and, some people will think it's the Bible, and some people say, "Oh, well, I'll try some other stuff I got sitting around the shop, or I got other stuff." And it's like they'll figure out their own niche, and maybe it's different also in their fishery and where they're located, especially when it comes to egg fishing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know how that is. I mean, things are a million times different whether you're down in Tillamook or you're up in Grays Harbor or you're freaking up the gorge. Like, absolutely, it ain't the same.
No. Not at all. I mean, every one of the fisheries is different. Every single one.
So people might be taking what you're hearing now, and they're going to try to apply it there, and they're going to have to apply it to theirs, or else it might not be the same.
Correct.
Crazy. Well, I appreciate you coming in. You guys, if you guys like this podcast, message down there, because I feel like we can do some round 2, because we didn't even get into some of the real nitty-gritty stuff. But at the same time, too, we also can talk about lots of other things when it comes to egg cure here in the Northwest with Mr. Keith Archer. So check out some of the Ultimate Egg Cure. It's made by ProCure. But check out some of that Ultimate Egg Cure. I use it a lot as well in my arsenals. And, man, I was really appreciative when it came out. So it definitely makes a beautiful egg to try. And, yeah, man, we'll appreciate your insight and stuff over the years, man.
Always. I'm here to help, and I intend to share more.
Awesome. Well, if you guys check this out, let us know on the podcast if you want Keith back in. We're going to film a live feeds. For those of you guys listening to this, check out the live feed. Those live feeds are up on the YouTube channel after we're done. And I'm sure we actually have some fresh coho eggs from one of your friends that are sitting here. And so we're going to do some curing actually live on that. So check it out at the YouTube fishing channel at Addicted Fishing if you guys want to continue this conversation on.
There you go.
All right, man. Thanks, Keith.
You bet.